This mistake could be costing you hundreds of thousands of pounds every year and millions overall. What is it? Not learning how to become a leading authority. And that's exactly why in today's episode, we have Jim Cathcart, and he is a mentor to professional experts. And he's one of the top 5 most award-winning speakers in the world. And his top 1% TEDx video has 2.7 million views. His 26 books are translated into multiple languages, including 3 international bestsellers. And he is a certified virtual presenter and past national president of the National Speakers Association. He has a lot more achievements, but we have to go straight into the first question, which is, what's the secret to your success? Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services.
Well, thank you. And it's exciting to be with you. The secret is really not a secret so much as it is a discipline. When I was beginning in this path, I was a government clerk. I was earning $525 a month and had a new wife and baby at home, no college degree and no money. And I'd never known anybody that had money, so I didn't expect to be a successful person financially. And I didn't expect a very large life. And then one day I heard Earl Nightingale on the radio. He was considered at the time the dean of personal motivation. So he had a show like yours where he was sharing inspiring thoughts with people. And I heard him on the radio that day back in 1972. And it caused me to change the direction of my life. He said, if you will spend 1 hour extra every day studying your chosen field, in 5 years or less, you'll be a national authority in that field. And I thought, well, that's a good idea, but I don't want to be a leading authority on being a government clerk. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought about it for a long time. And then it occurred to me, I want to do what he does. Well, I didn't know what he did. And so I had to study what he did and find out. And it turns out that field is called applied behavioral science or practical psychology, human development. And so I became fanatical about studying human development. And sure enough, 5 years later, I was a full-time speaker and trainer. At first, I was teaching other people's courses and then started doing my own research. And now I've done 3,500 speeches all over the world at conventions involving millions of people.
Wow, that's exciting. 99% of people make this mistake of not taking the time to learn how to become a leading authority. So I'm wondering about your journey. Like, what motivated you to kind of make this happen? Because it takes so much courage, so much passion, so much drive, so much motivation, so much, overcoming obstacles, becoming naysayers, so much. It takes so much to make this happen.
And I didn't expect much, as I said a while ago, but I wanted a lot. I wanted to live a big life. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to matter, to be somebody that, was making an improvement to the world by being here. And so the day I got that message, 1 extra hour a day, I thought that could work for me. Hour a day, I'm a government clerk. I've got all day long. So what do I want to be an expert at? Thought about it and finally realized I want to do what he did. But at first, I knew nothing, so I started reading all the classic books like Think and Grow Rich and The Power of Positive Thinking, How to Win Friends and Influence People, all of the old standards, as they would say. And that got me even more motivated. And then I found out that Earl Nightingale, the man on the radio, had a series of recordings, and they were on audio cassette, and they're up on my top shelf right here, even today. So I bought a 48 audio cassette, each cassette containing about 20 minutes of recording, library of motivational material, and listened to it fanatically every day for 5 years. Now, when I say fanatically, look it up. I mean literally, clinically fanatical. No day passed that I wasn't listening to those inspiring recordings. And they were just messages about goal setting and interpersonal communication and how to plan and organize, how to live a healthier and more respectful life toward others. And the more I heard those messages, the more it reinforced the drive in me and kind of organized my dreams into a path. And I ended up leading some training meetings and, using the manual they had provided. So it wasn't coming from me. I was just facilitating. But I did 400 of those for free in 2 years. 400 meetings after work and on the weekends in a 2-year period for zero pay. Now that will make you better at things. So then I became well known and very popular as a speaker and trainer. And that allowed me to launch my own business. And that was back long ago in the 1970s. And here I am 48 years later. I've been all over the world. I've written 26 books. I've held all the offices and received all the awards that people in my field do. So what I do today is I teach other people how to do what you have done, how to become a well-known leading authority in your particular niche, and to take what you're an expert at and build a career around that. So my market is owners of expert-based businesses, like speakers, coaches, consultants, trainers, authors, people like that.
Thank you. I remember years ago when I was listening to Brian Tracy, and at the time I was a nanny and I was cleaning houses and I was a nanny. And I remember that I felt so overwhelmed by the large path ahead. First, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Second, because I felt so behind. I felt like I had done nothing. So from this feeling of, you've done nothing, and then to kind of start to build not only a legacy, but at least something, right? There's a really, really large path. And I remember one thing that Brian Tracy was talking about, which is something very similar to what you said, which is around start to learn at least 20 minutes a day, start to listen to audiobooks or start to read something, or do something that furthers your personal development so that every single day you are learning. And at the end of 1 year, you could have the equivalent of a degree in terms of learning if you apply yourself. So I find that quite interesting. So what path should entrepreneurs take in order to become leading authorities in their field and not become overwhelmed by this idea of, oh my God, I have to do 10,000 hours to get there?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Brian Tracy. He's been a friend of mine for, decades now. I've been in his home. He's been in mine. And, we've known each other for a long time. The thing that makes him so effective is he breaks everything down into specific steps. And he shows exactly how to do what it is you choose to do. Well, here's the problem that most people have. They don't know what they choose to do. It's like you said at first, you didn't know what you wanted to do. Every day, the world asks us the same question everywhere we go. And that question is this: what do you want? When you walk into a coffee shop and you step up to the counter, the barista looks at you and says, what do you want? And if you don't know what you want, they'll ask you to step aside so someone who does know what she wants can step forward. Well, the same thing's true on the street when you're driving your car. The others are watching you to see which way you want to go, whether you're going to stop or speed up, and everywhere else. What do you want? Well, we need to get clear on what we do want. Like when I was a government clerk, all I knew was I wanted more. I wanted better. I wanted, more income, whatever. Most people just focus on the money. They say, I want more money. What that translates to is I want more freedom to make the choices that feel right to me, because money is a useless item except when it's being applied to something. If you have a stack of money, it's just a decoration. If you have money that you can buy a ticket with, all of a sudden you have permission to go through that door. So money is not a goal. Money is a tool. So what do you want? If you had the money, what would you do? one of the things that lead people through when I'm doing the certified professional expert training is I lead them through an exercise I call the future you. And we go into detail, writing out a specific description of who you're going to be in the future. What kind of people are you going to be among? In other words, who is going to enjoy being with you and you're thrilled to be among them, right? What kind of work do you want to be doing? What kind of a lifestyle do you want to have? What sort of awards and recognition? What kind of skills and knowledge would you like to acquire? Tell me about the future you. Well, I don't know if I could achieve those things. You can't define what you want if you're thinking about the obstacles of getting it. Goal setting assumes it's possible. So when you set your goal, set a goal for what you really want, not what you think you can achieve or what others have told you that maybe you could achieve or couldn't achieve. Your spirit is speaking when it dreams. Write down the dreams. Get specific about learning one more thing, doing one more step, like Brian says, spending 20 minutes, an hour, whatever, a day, every day, going toward what it is you want.
Thank you. Now, one interesting thing about what you want is that I think millions of people don't know what they want. So it's so important to find what they want. Now, how do you go about finding what they want? In my opinion, one thing that's so important is to surround yourself with a lot of knowledge, whether you're starting to go to marketing workshops, branding workshops, speaking workshops, I don't know, property workshops, types of workshops that kind of appeal to you on a gut level, on an intuitive level. Even if you know nothing, start with something. Agree there, or what path would you recommend they should take? Because, for example, for me, initially, I had no knowledge about business. So I was like, tabula rasa. I was like, I had no knowledge at all. And I just started, like, I published my first book called Meet the Nanny. And then I started kind of like getting invited to hundreds of marketing events and speaking events and branding events. And so I just kind of took the first step towards that. And whilst you're feeling overwhelmed with 1,000 potential paths and no idea of actually what to do, it's just better to do something as opposed to, do you agree? Yeah. Or what path do you recommend entrepreneurs should take to become leading authorities when they have no idea where to start?
First, if you have an idea of what you want, that'll give you the ideas of where to start. For example, in my case, I knew nothing about human development, but I was fascinated by it, loved learning about it, wanted to study it and be around it. So I surrounded myself with the information that I needed in order to learn that. So I got books, I got recordings, I got, whatever I could get my hands on. And this was before the internet. And there weren't many seminars offered either. I remember going to a seminar 1974 in Little Rock, Arkansas, where I lived at the time in the US. And the seminar was called Adventures in Attitudes. And the man leading the seminar that day had us do an exercise where we write down a description of ourselves in the future. And I wrote, I want to be a leading authority in the field of personal development. And had no idea what that meant. And he said, okay, now describe what that's going to look like. Okay, so I started writing out a description. And I wrote, I'll have an article published in a major magazine. I'll go to important conferences. I'll meet celebrities, and I specified which celebrities. I'll be hired by the U.S. White House, where the president lives, to do a training program. I will win these awards and so forth. I wrote all those things down. Now, consider I was a government clerk. I didn't have a college degree. I had no reason to believe any of those things were possible. Well, I've published thousands of articles in magazines, been on the cover of the magazines, all that. I've won all those awards. I was called by the White House during the Ronald Reagan presidency, his wife, Nancy Reagan. Her office hired me to come to Washington, D.C. and do speaker training for the people who were doing the Just Say No to Drugs campaign that she was the champion of. Wow. I mean, this was, of course, 15 or 20 years later, But still, all of those dreams that I wrote as a young adult, all those dreams I wrote down came true. And one of the exercises in that seminar that day was it asked the question, when will you retire? And in 1974, I wrote, never. Now, the man you're looking at right now is 78 years old, and I'm still full time in this business. And what I do is I teach other people how to define the path and become competent in their field, then become excellent, then become an expert in your field, then become a leading authority, and if you want, a celebrity and then a star.
Thank you. Now, I find that when you have no vision, no mission, no clarity, no purpose, no idea about anything, one really good way to start is by helping a millionaire with something. And the reason I know this is because one millionaire asked me to publish and to write a book about the billionaire mindset. Mm-hmm. And it was a research project. And I started doing this research for him for free. And we were supposed to do like this swap thing, which finally never happened. But anyway, I wrote the book. And in the process, I learned so much about entrepreneurship, about marketing, about positivity, about how instead of looking at your situation, which could be very grim, and looking at it and seeing only negative stuff, you could look at it with the glass half full kind of perspective and seeing what's positive about it. So I wonder whether you agree with that or whether you have a different strategy in terms of entrepreneurs who have absolutely zero. Like, I have no idea what they want. They have no idea where to start. They have no materials. They have no vision, no mission. They have literally zero to start with.
When they're looking at it that way, it's not a glass half full, it's an empty glass. Now, I see an empty glass not as a problem, but as a huge opportunity. Because look at all that glass you could fill up, right? So your suggestion is perfect. If you've got nothing going on, find out who does and volunteer to help them. Well, they've got money, they should pay me. No, they're not coming to you seeking your help. You're going to them wanting to help. And if you want to learn from somebody who's doing really well, find out something they need done and help them do it. And it could be something as simple as doing some research online, something as fundamental as making a few phone calls on their behalf or organizing some materials for them or whatever. It could be like I had a guy in Canada one time. He said, Jim, I'd like to spend some time with you, and I cannot afford to hire you. Are you coming to Canada anytime soon? I said, yeah, I'm flying into Toronto for a speech. He said, I'll meet you at the airport and take you to your hotel. And I said, okay. So he met me at the airport. His name was Peter Ursbinder. And he met me at the airport and he drove me to the hotel and we talked all the way there about business. And then I invited him to come in. He said, no, I just wanted to get some time with you. I don't want to get in the way. And so he dropped me at the hotel and I was surprised. He said, by the way, when are you going back to the airport? Day after tomorrow. I'll pick you up. Wow. Okay. And so he picked me up and drove me back to the airport a few days later. And in that time together, I of course, had the favor of a free ride from a friendly person. But at the same time, I developed a new friendship with him. And many, many years later, after we had been in touch, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times, I got a call from him. He said, Jim, I'm dying. I've been told that I only have a few days left to live. I'm dying from cancer. And I just wanted to call and say thank you for the inspiration. In his final moments, he wanted to call and say thank you for inspiration that had come from a couple of rides to and from the airport. It just astounds me how much impact we can have on other people and not realize it. And sometimes just changing one thing, like a young man I know said, I've got a girlfriend who's very clingy. She won't let go. I guess she loves me more than I love her. I said, no, if she's really clingy and won't let go, that's not love, that's need. She doesn't love you more than you love her. Neither of you love each other. She has an emotional need for you. He said, wow, I never thought about it like that. And that completely changed his attitude toward the nature of that relationship. Love means you're as interested in their welfare as you are in your own welfare. So sometimes means letting go, other times it means hanging on. But if it's only hanging on, that's not love. So sometimes one little phrase or statement or repositioning of a thought like that can open doors in a person's life and change their whole worldview. That's what happened to me when I heard Earl Nightingale say just 1 hour extra a day. When you heard Brian say 20 minutes, right? When Les Brown says, it's not over till I win, meaning I'm never going to give up.
I love what you said. Most entrepreneurs focus on the wrong thing. They focus on what can I get from this person I'm connecting with, rather than bringing love, empathy, joy, help, support to the conversation. Because sometimes it's something really tiny that you can do. Let's say, for example, I have so many things going on. I have large events with influential entrepreneurs. I have book publishing programs. I have this podcast. I have so many things you cannot possibly imagine. And one little thing, even one like on social media, when you're starting out, it means so much, right? Afterwards, when you're built up and you have a gazillion followers, it's, of course, every little bit matters, because it helps you to spread that impact, and it helps one more person to reach to your message that could potentially transform their lives. And I think that most people focus on what can I get rather than what can I give? What can I get rather than what can I share? How can I support? How can I love? And I think one important thing is just to change your perspective from stingy to generous, from just being full of love. And it's taken me quite a long time to actually even recognize it and to implement it into my own life. But what's important as well is to bring that love to yourself, so that when you meet these entrepreneurs, you are full of love, you are confident, and because they feel that you are a full cup by yourself, you're like a wholesome person, and then they feel comfortable in your presence as well. I think that's also important. Now, I'm noticing you are very well presented. You have a very fascinating shirt, and you've taken time to, first of all, arrive early. So there's all these little details that you might think nobody notices, but everyone does, because people do judge a book by its cover. So I wonder about the impact of branding, the impact of your image on your clients, and the kind of impact you can create, and how can entrepreneurs leverage this concept of branding and your personal image in order to magnify their impact and be seen as a leading authority.
In my book, The Acorn Principle, there's what I call the daily question, and that is the concept that addresses what you're talking about. I think everyone would benefit from asking themselves every day, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do? And always come from a position of generosity, of giving. What could I give? What could I contribute? What could I do that others would value? Not how can I get paid? That's step number 2. But number 1 is how can I be of value? Years ago, 9/11, 2001, when the World Trade Center was attacked in New York City, all air travel stopped in the United States. And I realized that my career as a professional speaker had just been put on hold, because you can't go speak at a conference that's not held. And they weren't holding conferences because nobody could travel to conferences. And so I thought, well, wow, my main income at that time was keynote speaking and doing seminars. So forget about me for a moment. We may be in World War III. I didn't know where, nobody knew what was going on. We just knew there was a huge change in the world, and everything we had been relying on was all of a sudden questionable. And so I thought, all right, if the planes aren't flying and the trucks aren't driving, and we don't know whether we're at war or not. What do I have that the world could benefit from? What can I do? I can go, like if there's a flood, I can go fill bags with sand and help shore up the place from the flood. But that's the lowest possible use of my time and talent. What do I have that's more leverageable, that could touch and reach more people? And I realized that the one thing I could do that many people cannot is I can teach ordinary people who don't have a lot of talent, obvious talent, or resources, how to get things done anyway. I can teach people how to be a ground level, local area leader and organize other people and find resources and solve problems. And so I formed what we called the 101, indicating the Highway 101, that ran through that area of California where I was living. The 101 Leaders Alliance. And I got together a bunch of people and we started training people throughout the area in how to set goals, organize projects, find resources, motivate volunteers, things like that. So it's all about thinking about the audience, not about the speech, thinking about the client, not about the service, thinking about the value that you're conveying, not about the payment you're getting. Of course, you have to think about those other things, but always put them second. So if you've got a client to serve, put yourself in a generous mindset and be the kind of person you dream of being. Not a big, important person, but a highly loved and valued person. Someone that others want you to live in their neighborhood. Someone that wants their kids and your kids to play together. Somebody that they would respect, admire, and enjoy being with. Develop those qualities every day. Your life will transform itself.
Thank you. What's the formula for entrepreneurs to become leading authorities?
Item one, you have to become competent. For example, I am a professional musician, a singer and guitarist. And I've been doing that for many, many years. But that's my side business. That's my hobby, my avocation, not my vocation. And I had a choice to make when I got into the music business. I love playing guitar and singing, but I didn't want to make that my career path. Because if that were my career path, then I would spend all my time doing gigs, doing small engagements for small fees, hoping to meet the right people and develop the right talents and ultimately get discovered by some recording label and become famous, possibly, right? Well, the odds of doing that were like tiny compared to the work it would take. And I enjoyed human development much more. So I thought about my guitar and singing, and I thought, I just want to be good enough that I can sit with the professionals. And when I'm playing or singing, I fit in. I don't need to stand out. I don't need to be a rock star. I just want to not feel uncomfortable if I'm with rock stars backstage. So become competent at what you do, meaning able to do it and do it well. Excellent is your next level. And that's where you become able to do it so well that occasionally people say, wow, that was good, Lily, right? And then expert is where you can be excellent at what you're doing anytime you choose. And then beyond that is taking that expertise that you developed and publishing, writing articles, doing podcasts and interviews, showing up at conferences, participating everywhere you can to get known and recognized in your field to become a leading authority.
Thank you. What about for people that want to become superstars?
Well, that's the next level, is to become a celebrity and a star, or even a superstar. Superstar would be like a Taylor Swift, somebody that's the top of the top of the top of the top of their game. And if you look at when she was a teenager, showed a talent for writing songs. And she could sing pretty well, and she was cute, but none of those were going to make her famous. They were going to help. They just weren't going to make her famous. Because if you think about it, there are lots of very, very good-looking entertainers out there who are not superstars like Taylor Swift. There are lots of really good songwriters out there who are not superstars like Taylor Swift. There are lots of performers who are not, and it goes on. So what was it that made the difference? Here's the key. Someone in her inner circle, maybe her, decided, I want to do it all. I want to win every award. I want to break every record. I want to have every experience that is humanly possible in this field. Now, when you do that, it takes 100% of your life. You can't also be raising horses or, developing a art business or something else. I mean, you might have some people that help you do that on the side, but you're going to have to spend every waking moment and most sleeping moments focusing on getting to the star or superstar level. Let's go back to the field that we're in, the field of human development. I got involved in this field in the early 1970s. In the 1980s, a young man came along who also got involved in this field named Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, known worldwide, right? I never had the goal of being a superstar. He always had the goal of being a superstar. Whoa, yeah, but when he started, he didn't have anything going for him. He was tall, tall and nice looking. That was about all he had going for him. So everything he did, he had to do it the hard way, the long way. Same thing for me. When I started, I didn't have anything much going for me, and I had to do it all the long way. But I didn't devote my life to it at the level that he has. Now, he's living an enormous, abundant, phenomenal life, making a huge difference in the world. Good for him. God bless him. I don't want that life. I'd love to have that option, but I'm not willing to make the commitment at the same level that he was. So when you look at your aspiration, what do you aspire to? Being good at it, being excellent at it, being an expert at it, a leading authority, a celebrity, a star, or a superstar. That tells you how hard you're going to have to work to get there.
Thank you. Do you find that any ordinary Joe or Jane can become a leading authority, or would you say that it takes some very special entrepreneurs to manage to do it?
No, anybody can become very successful and become a leading authority. I mean, think about it. You used to clean houses, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a friend, Gary Goranson, who lived in Canada, later moved to Florida. And when he moved to Florida, he built a business. First, in Canada, he built a business polishing and detailing cars. And he created a technique that he called tidy car, T-I-D-Y car. And he built that into a licensing business that had a worldwide clientele of licensees that were doing the tidy car technique in their local areas all over the earth and paying him a franchise fee and ordering supplies from him. So he moved to Florida and he changed his business. He sold the tidy car business for probably millions of dollars. And he started a new business, cleaning houses. What? Yeah. He said, you know what? I know how to break things down into their component parts and to show people how to improve each of those parts. So it's like an engineer, right? He said, house cleaning is a predictable process with known parts, the kitchen, the bathroom, the living room, etc., the floors, the windows. It uses the same resources every time, the cleaning fluid, the polish, so on and so forth, the dusting, and the same tools. And so he broke it down. He created what he called Work Enders was the name of the company. And he developed a training program and taught house cleaners how to be professional house cleaners and to be able to do a better job in a shorter period of time with more satisfied clients than they had ever done before, using fewer resources and using them better. Wow. So whatever field you're in, the possibility is right there.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.